in Fairlawn, Ohio, suburb of Akron, for another Firestone Tournament of Champions. The applause now is for the semifinal match. And finally, Dave D'Entremont has won a game on TV. Remember, Bo had indicated that he was 0 for 2, but he's now 1 for 2.
Match play competition. He's got a really tough opponent, Dave Ferraro, who's in a little bit of a TV slump. Let's see what happens.
And leaving a 4-pin.
Dave D'Entremont was the tournament leader last year at Pinole Valley in the infamous power outage, and Ernie Schlegel just slaughtered him in the championship game, 268 to 215. But I think that experience has helped David, and he's a much more determined player out there today.
Well, we have unusual happenings from time to time in our telecast, but none as unusual as the Eagle biting the dust last week, the trophy, Pete Weber.
You're right. As you said, the Eagle does not fly on the Pro Bowlers Tour.
Dave Ferraro's first shot today. Well, he got rid of the sleeper, but Nelson, this is not the easiest split in the world to convert.
Well, for Dave Ferraro, Chris, he's got to get the ball to the left side of the 2-pin, drive that 2-pin over into the 10. Right here, drive the ball into the pin into the 10. If he converts it like that, he'll be all even. Otherwise, he'll be trailing by more than a mark.
Tried. That's what I like about the champions. They go all out. The Bowling Proprietors Association of America, Chief Lipinski and Wally Hall, of course, will replace the broken Eagle. And this time it'll have wind under its wings and will stay on the walnut base.
Well, this is not funny as Dave Ferraro sees his ball just hooked by the 2-pin. He was a little skeptical of the championship pair. He says they're kind of tough.
All right. Dave Ferraro bouncing back after that disappointment in the first frame. But he trails by a quick 12, and with the spare up, it'll be D'Entremont shooting in the second. Remember, our tournament leader is Billy Young, bowling out of Oklahoma City. And the non-winner means business.
Dave D'Entremont, a very much self-taught natural talent player. He doesn't practice a lot like many of the other players, but he practices daily. Says he practices just 3 games a day and tries to practice 6 days a week. He keeps his swing loose. He's a very powerful guy. Where some of the other players will practice as much as 25 or 30 games even a day, i.e. Steve Wunderlich.
Mm-hmm. But fortunately, those that practice a lot like Steve, they have time to go bass fishing, right?
Well, Steve Wunderlich, he does it all. Now Ferraro, just a matter of getting lined up for Dave Ferraro. Second championship round in a row. He made it in the U.S. Open last week. Unexpectedly slides by the head pin twice on lane 28. Chris and I bowled on this championship pair many times, and what he needs to do is to make a move on 28 farther outside and get the ball from this spare right onto the 2-pin and drive it out. And as far as his strike line goes, get farther outside or slow the ball down. 28 is tighter.
25th telecast for Dave Ferraro. Last week in the United States Open, won by Pete Weber, Dave finished 5th. He has 5 titles.
Dave, a congenial player out here, spends a lot of time with the Big Brothers charities. That's his favorite charity, and often in between tournaments, he'll stop off in the city. As you see him using that full grip, spreads that index finger for control, balances the ball in the palm of the hand. He's ready to go, trails by 22, 4th frame.
And he'll take it. Crossover strike. That coming in the 4th frame. D'Entremont leads Ferraro. We'll be back. And two members of our host company, Tums, Alan Jones, Division Manager, and Associate Brand Manager, Ellen Jenko. Enjoyable people to work with, and we hope they've enjoyed this event at Bradley Bowl as much. Dave D'Entremont here in the semifinal match. Leads by 22, a double up. Now he leads by 32. Here's Nelson.
Thank you, Chris. Tournament leader Billy Young just ran away from the field by over 300 pins, but Billy, the time of reckoning's coming up. It's your last chance to qualify for the Firestone. What do you feel?
Oh, I'm pretty happy with the way I bowled this week. I'm not going to do anything different. In my mind, I won the tournament yesterday. Now I have to prove it today. And then just go out and play the pair with what it gives me.
Good attitude, Chris. He needs a win to get back into Firestone. He'll be tough. Back to you.
Now Dave. And that four-bagger increases his lead to 42 pins. But don't count out Dave Ferraro, five-time champion, including last year's Firestone. He'll be there next week to defend it against 51 other champions. He has a strike up. He's now shooting in the fifth.
Boy, oh boy, they've just been so confused on the right-hand lane. If you look at the style of Dave Ferraro, upright style, five-step delivery. I really like his arm swing, just a little bit below shoulder high. Good high follow-through, and he can kind of get away with that stiff-legged type delivery because he's only 5 feet 7 inches tall. Any taller, he'd have to have more knee bend.
Good gun. Spinning it there. Converting the 310. Coming up next on Wide World of Sports. Heavyweight bout to start with. Undefeated Riddick Bowe battles Tony Tubbs. That'll be live from Atlantic City. Plus, the road to the Kentucky Derby heats up with the Wood Memorial Invitational presented by John Deere Lawn Care Dealers. A little later, I'm going to ask Bowe for his pick. Gloria Ferraro flew in from Kingston just to support her husband here.
Well, Dave Ferraro is zeroed on the left-hand lane. He's struck in the second, fourth, and sixth. It's a matter of getting tuned in on the right and hoping that Dave D'Entremont just doesn't run away here. He could open up a 62-pin lead with 2 more strikes, 6th frame.
All right. Dave D'Entremont rolling along. He won the last match.
You see the style of Dave D'Entremont, very powerful as he drives that wrist into underneath the ball and just takes out all 10 pins for D'Entremont loose, and he's making those pins move, Chris. He's red hot.
Okay. Standing room only crowd at Bradley Bowl. Look at him. He now has strung 6. His wife is happy. Of course, Dave is too, but doesn't show it. We'll be back.
You're invited to join bowling's winners at their biggest party of the year. It's the Firestone Tournament of Champions on ABC's Pro Bowlers Tour next Saturday.
Great supporter of bowling, always outstanding job here. Tournament chairman Ken West.
Kenny, a great promoter. Now, David Ferraro up in the 7th frame, trails by 62, has a possible 238. D'Entremont going at a 250 pace.
All right. Nice little wry smile from the 31-year-old champion. He shared with us why he opted to bowl here this week instead of skipping it for the Firestone next week.
Well, I think that I like to bowl in a tournament before a major because I like to get tournament sharp. It's a little bit different than practicing at home. Plus, I'm only a 2.5-hour drive from here.
That's a good point. Ian Woosman did that for the Masters. Let's see if Ferraro can do that for the Firestone. Ferraro slides by the headpin, or just nicks it, leaving the 7. And Chris, I'm going to give you my tip for the Wood Memorial right now.
Oh, okay.
There's 3 horses to watch. Cahill Road will be leading as they come in the stretch. That's the speed horse. Kyle's our man. If the weather gets bad, you bet on the Mutter, but Meadow Star should win the race.
So it's Meadow Star. You're vacillating, my friend.
You better see if it's raining, pal.
Okay. Our longtime friend Leroy Jolly trains the only filly in the race, and the filly has never won the Wood. And I think Meadow Star will do it today.
We'll know in about 35 minutes. This Wide World will be coming on. Now it's Dave D'Entremont with 6 in a row.
Nick hits 7. A spare to start the game and strikes the rest of the way.
As I said, he's hot and cold in the Touring Players Championship last year. At 1 point for 6 games, the first 6 games of an 8-game block, he averaged an incredible 272, and that's crossing pairs as you see him wiping the oil off his urethane bowling ball. 272, that's a lot of strikes. That's 8 or 9 in a row every single game without an open, and he's got that going right now. 7 in a row.
His high gain during play coming into today was 280.
And as you saw, Ferraro waved the white flag. Also, Jimmy Pritz can wave the white flag, too, because as Ferraro struggles again, Jimmy Pritz will be out of the Firestone. Will be 2 non-champions going in the final match, Dave D'Entremont and Billy Young, Jr. Don't count this man out next week.
No. Last year earned $111,000 with a Firestone victory, 3rd at Green Bay, 4th at Wichita, 5th at Quaker State, 4th at Showboat in Atlantic City. And here's his opponent, Dave D'Entremont, looking for that first PBA national title as regional titles. Dave Ferraro, loosening up, comes from a bowling family, 2 establishments in New York.
And I remember when he and his brother Steve came down to Long Island about 8 or 9 years ago, and they were both trying the tour. I says, boy, Dave will never make it on the tour, but his brother Steve might. Steve no longer a pro, Dave one of the best in the world, so what do I know?
I think you know a lot, Bo.
Well, thank you. Right now, I know who's going to be the winner of this game for David Ferraro in the 190s. As you see the wife of Dave D'Entremont, excited about the championship game coming up.
And for likable Dave Ferraro, perhaps next week will be a little kinder. Okay.